we're not on yet. There we
Right
go.
now.
Wait for John to say we're on.
Yes, we're on.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, it's 6:01, and we will start the Board of Ed meeting on the Budget, Finance, and Operations Committee meeting for April 18th, 2022. And let's call to order. And we'll start with item A, financial report ending March 31st, 2022.
Thank you, Sean, for taking the lead. Let me just take a minute to introduce Sue Leon. She is here from Twin Lakes Consulting. You might remember David has been with us, and I think he was going to try to get on, but he is on holiday in the Cayman Islands, and I'm not sure that their service is quite as good as Ridgefield. So just in case he did have a backup. So Sue is with us tonight. Sue, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself, but you can see our board members here.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. My name, as Dr. De Silva said, is Sue Leon, and I am actually a sitting business manager in Regional School District number 10, which is in Harwinton, Burlington. And I also work for David Fiorillo with Twin Lakes Consulting in my free time.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. So I will do my best. David sent me all the information. He actually has been the one working on this end of the project here with the projections and looking at the monthly financials, but I think he has left me and given me all the information that we need to go through it. So I will get going if I get the okay to do that. Okay. So I believe you all received the memo and the financials and the transfers. I don't think much has changed from last month, other than we're through now the third quarter. Your certified and non-certified salaries seem to be pretty much on target. Your certified and non-certified should end a little bit under budget, while your substitutes are going to be a little bit over, but that's because of with the unfilled positions in your certified and non-certified, that will offset your substitute deficit. So there should not be an issue there going forward into the end of the year. Medical benefits, we are going to be watching closely to the end of the year. We do expect that hopefully to come in on budget, but that will be a line item that we will be looking at more closely going into the fourth quarter. Other benefits are tracking fine. They're on target to be in line with budget. Same thing with FICA and Medicare. Special ed is tracking over budget. This is not unusual. We're seeing this statewide, particularly coming out of COVID and remote learning. We're seeing a lot of social emotional needs. So this is an area that we will be also focusing on going into the fourth quarter. We will be looking at the excess cost grant. I know in the budget for this year is about 1.4 million of excess cost. We will be looking at that as well to see where that's going to land. I know that the first payment, which is about 75%, was about 762,000, and that's typically 75% of the total that you're going to receive for the year. And there's a lot of variables that go into that. So, it's something that we'll have to look at. And then transportation, I think we are on target for that as well. The one thing that we are looking at is with the fuel prices that had risen over the past couple of months on our individual runs, that was up a little bit, but now we're starting to see gas prices come down. So hopefully we'll start to see that level out as well. And then our energy, I think we are.
Budget too, real quick. Sorry, I couldn't get off. Can I ask a question on that bullet item? So you mentioned that the first payment is normally 75%. Ours is under 75%. So do we anticipate getting the full 1.4 this year, Susie, or are we tracking to be receiving less than we budgeted for?
It's likely to be less, Liz. It was last year as well. So, and given what we've received in the first reimbursement, which is typically more, it's highly unlikely that we'll be at the 1.4. And I think it's worth a conversation when we talk about legislation that we're hearing about at the full board level and some of what communities like ours are advocating for.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, thank you.
Of course.
And then energy, I believe, is tracking on budget. One thing to note is we have not locked into fuel prices yet for next year. I think the consensus was we're going to wait and see where they fall. In worst case scenario, you would purchase at market until prices came down to a level that seems worth locking into. But this year we're looking okay. because you are locked in till the end of June for this year's prices. Any questions? Okay. I don't know if you typically then go over the number sheet, the summary page, but that pretty much mirrors what was just said. You'll see that your certified substitutes are showing a line item deficit. Again, that would be covered up with your teacher salaries and non-certified. Any vacancies you have there, that will transfer and cover that deficit. Everything else right now, again, a lot of stuff is encumbered, but we are going into the fourth quarter and you will have things that are not encumbered that will show as additional spending that you may not see here. And then we have that athletic revenue, that's revenue, so that's not a deficit. Your special ed, you're seeing that $562,000 deficit. Again, that is, something that we'll look at. That can change as well if you have any outplacements that come back into district. Any encumbrances that are out there that may be a little bit over encumbered. Now that we're going into the fourth quarter, we'll be able to adjust those encumbrances and hopefully bring that deficit down a little bit.
Similarly, though, just Sue, if I may, we can have students that come into district that, in fact, I think we had 2 in the past week that are coming into district that are already outplaced. So it goes both ways.
Yeah, it's a moving target. Unfortunately, one that's hard to put your thumb on.
Any questions from the board before I throw mine out? Nope. I'm trying to get my mind around the athletic revenue. Are we good there? Or are we not good there? I'm having trouble figuring where we're at. Did something go wrong? We were budgeted at 360, and it looks like we're showing 146.
So we have spring sports, Sean, that we haven't pulled in yet. So that's a big chunk of that.
Okay.
Is that what you were going to say, Sue?
Yeah, I was going to say that. And also we could be a little bit behind on posting deposits, because once we got in there, I know there were some checks that needed to be deposited. So it could be a little bit of that as well.
Got it.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Any other questions on that? Why don't we move over to transfers?
Sure. So for the transfers, we have a few this month, and then I have another one that was also needs to be approved. It was overlooked in the email, but I would like to also put that on this list verbally if I may. But I will go through the spreadsheet right now. So the first one is facilities, and there was a need to transfer from 2 of the schools. It's still within the same object code. It's just transferring from 2 schools to the high school to cover for emergency indoor air quality testing. Curriculum, because teachers, I think, have been staying inside and not really attending things out of district. There's just a need to transfer funds into supplies, into curriculum development, so that teachers can do that in district. And then another facility, same thing with cleaning supplies. We're moving funds from middle school and high school over to the 2 elementary schools. Again, just a reclassification from within cleaning supplies to another building. Then the one that's not on the list is there's a request to move from psychologist, the salary account, $37,575 to professional education services for the same amount. And this is because we have a psychologist out on maternity leave, and we need to cover those services with contracted service.
Okay. Any questions on the transfers?
Sean, we'll do is we'll update this transfer list for the board, so that additional one will be on this sheet.
That one makes sense. Tom, you have any questions on this? All right, my only question is emergency indoor air quality testing. It kind of sets the hairs on the back of my neck up. Why are we testing in an emergency fashion, and what went wrong?
Sure, I can speak to that. So Sean, you might remember, I communicated with this to the board. We had several rooms that in one of our wings that we noticed had some differences around the vents that we felt needed to be tested. And so those students were removed from those rooms. They were placed in alternative rooms for a period of time. It actually has something, it's partly to do with the way in which we can use the humidifiers in those spaces. So those tests had to take place, cleaning had to happen, and that's why you see that transfer.
And those rooms are now back in service and everything's fine?
Just recently, yep, and we continue to
Okay.
monitor those rooms based on where they are in the building.
Okay.
Good question.
Any other questions from the board? Might be the quickest meeting ever. I think that's all we have on the agenda.
Thank you,
I think
Sean, for
we
taking
did
the lead.
So with that, motion to adjourn, I guess.
Second.
Liz is first and Thomas second.
So, but at least it's recorded. So,
And some of you, I guess, will be on the next meeting at 7 o'clock.
We will be. Thank you. Thanks, Sue.
Bye, thank you. Nice meeting you all.
Bye-bye.